Good afternoon, everyone. We are here on this special edition, and we are going to
prepare. You still have time to heed these evacuation orders, and please take this storm seriously. It's been a very somewhat frustrating experience, not knowing kind of a lot of uncertainty with this thing. But I think back to some of the major hurricanes in Florida in the beginning part of the 20th century. They didn't have any warning about anything. You just all of a sudden see clouds gather and you have a major hurricane. So we have a sense of what parts of Florida are threatened, and we want people to protect themselves and their families. Have a time to take a couple questions.
Resources, Governor, what has changed in the past 24 hours? We heard the director talk about making targeted decisions based upon scenarios being taken off the table. Are more resources moving to the East Coast now in light of that?
It'll be more targeted. We're also going to be likely doing probably more National Guard mobilization than we anticipated just for those counties, just because the storm is getting so significant in terms of its ferocity that we've got a plan for potential search and rescue along the East Coast. If it comes to that, we anticipate if we were to get impacted directly, I think you're going to have a lot of flooding up and down the entire East Coast of Florida. So there's going to be assets needed. So those are being done. Those mobilizations are occurring right now.
Governor, are you concerned that a number of the newspapers today had headlines breathing a sigh of relief, and you now have to overcome that?
I'm concerned just simply because when you're in that cone, if you're in that cone, you have the opportunity, and there's a good possibility that you could be impacted. Now, obviously, you do these things on percentages. You look at the trends. I think we did see a positive trend east, but then it tacked a little bit further west. So if you look at the National Hurricane Center's current track, I think it ends up within 30 miles of the coast of Florida. Well, guess what? You do just a touch of a bump one way or another, and you have a dramatic difference all of a sudden with the possibilities on the cone. And so I think what we've tried to do is, earlier in the week, we were very factual about what we were putting out. We told people to be prepared. And then now, although we really hope for the best, we've been pretty consistent that that the threat is still there. And so people should just understand that. And I think people did think this storm was going to gather strength. There's no doubt about it. But I think the consensus was that it'll reach a Cat 4. Well, this is a Cat 5 plus right now. And you would really have to go back to 1935 in the state of Florida when the Labor Day hurricane came through and just obliterated the Keys to find anything that had reached this level of danger. Yes.
Obviously, that there's a significant number of resources down at Mar-a-Lago, down in Palm Beach County. Do you know if that area has also been evacuated, or if anything particularly has been set up, just given all the money that we've already put into it?
I don't know anything specifically about Mar-a-Lago. I do know, obviously Palm Beach County's evacuation zones are more of the east of the Turnpike type things, and so you would get a lot of the Palm Beach Island and some of those other areas. I would say when you're talking about Palm Beach and Martin County, there's a lot of those coastal residents who aren't in Florida year-round, and I think there'd probably be a heavier population if this was in October rather than at the end of August, beginning of September. Nevertheless, there is going to be folks there who are going to need to evacuate. And then there have been, I know government resources have been moved around just more generally. I've spoken with the commanding officer for Navy Region Southeast about what they're doing to safeguard their ships. Some of those are going to remain in port, and they're on lockdown. That is kind of typical with their procedures, although I don't know if they've ever gone through a storm of this magnitude where that to be directly impacted. So there are assets being moved around. The Coast Guard was on the call with the president, and they made it very clear that they're going to be able to respond immediately after this storm passes. And so that is obviously something that's very, very important to us. Because since we don't know the exact path, I mean the amount of destruction could vary. But I definitely would anticipate. I mean, if we get hit with this, you're going to have a demand for search and rescue. I mean, that's just going to happen.
Regarding the bridge closure, especially in the very rare islands, I know you said there's no decisions yet on it, and the Coast Guard will make that. But how long can people on those islands expect to have, if they're under evacuation orders, to leave? Because once they're closed, they can't get out.
No, for sure. So I mean, the National Hurricane Center puts out a lot of guidance. I would look at that. It varies based on where you are on the East Coast. But once you start to get into those tropical storm force winds, you end up in a situation where those bridges, may not be operable going forward. And so people just need to look at that, figure out where they are, look at the guidance that the NHC is putting out, and then make those decisions. Now, all these counties, are going to have shelters, and so those types of evacuations are one thing. If people are planning on evacuating in their cars and just getting out of Dodge, then obviously you got to build in the time to be able to do that. I did the tolls not only on the Turnpike and some of the places going north, but obviously going west, because I think if you're in Palm Beach and some of these counties, you may find that route to make more sense going to the West Coast, and given how the cone is moved, that probably would be a sound decision. So people just need to do that and heed the calls, but make sure that they're prepared. If you're in a place like Duval County or Nassau, obviously there's going to be some type of guidance issued, but you should just be prepared that if you've had to evacuate in the past, you may be called upon to do it again. And so make those preparations now so that you can do that as smooth as possible.
We have time for one more.
Are you guys looking at any other major highways or roads that you guys are considering suspending tolls on?
We basically suspended all of them that would be evacuation routes from these affected counties. Now, Mayor Demings asked us about the Orlando. That's fine. So if there's other maybe smaller toll roads that people have a request for, we'll obviously look at that. But we've got Western, Northern, Turnpike, and 75 that we've suspended. And obviously, as long as there's evacuation orders, that's going to be something that we're going to continue to do. So we're going to be monitoring this thing, and people should remain vigilant, and let's hope for the best.
Listening to Governor Ron DeSantis brief reporters on the preparations the state is taking ahead of Hurricane Dorian. But we just got word that the 2 p.m. advisory has just come in. We want to get right to Steve McLaughlin, who can break it all down for us. Steve.
All right, thanks so much.
All right, let's go to that 2 p.m. Advisory, shall we? That was the news feed from NBC6 from Miami. And here it is, the 2 p.m. advisory. Epic fail, why it show 11? I don't know why it showed 11. Oh, well, we will have to do it this way. Okay, the 2 p.m. advisory has Dorian located at 26.5 north, 77.1 west, maximum sustained winds of 185 miles per hour, moving west at 7. So let's do a comparison. For example, Friday, it was moving at 10 miles per hour. Now it's moving at 7, so it's getting slower. And it made touchdown We have this video from the 2 updater that has a video from Abaco Island in the Bahamas. Dorian made landfall. So right now, all eyes are in Ford. Let's read the public advisory. Okay, saying that the eye of Dorian is over the Abaco Islands in the Bahamas, heading with all its flurry to Grand Bahama. The pressure is 911 millibars. But there is a relation between the maximum sustained wind and the pressure. While the pressure is underneath 1000, the winds get stronger. So what we have a storm surge watch is in effect from north of Deerfield Beach to the Volusia-Brevard County line. A hurricane warning is in effect for northern Bahamas, excluding the Andros Islands. A hurricane watch is in effect for Andros Island, north of Deerfield Beach to the Volusia-Brevard County line. A tropical storm warning is in effect north of Deerfield Beach to Sebastian Island. And a tropical storm watch is in effect north of Golden Beach to Deerfield Beach and Lake Okeechobee. So now we are in uncertainty once again. So let's go to the ABC affiliate in Miami, Local 10.
Just leave them up. If you didn't get a chance to put the shutters up, I wouldn't worry about that too much. Unless you're a panicky kind of person, and if that makes you comfortable, then you should do that. But right now, based on what we know right now, 40, 50 mile per hour winds in terms of the kinds of tropical storm force winds we could experience here. This is sort of a work in progress.
Right, and this is going to be from the north and the west. So if you're going to put shutters up, if you really want to do that, north and west, you don't have to worry about the south and east.
All right, Brian and Betty, we're going to check back in with the both of you in just 1 second, but for now we're going to take a very quick break. We're back in just a moment.
This year, the world's most spellbinding journey will take its wildest turn yet. Prepare to face the forbidden forest and join Hagrid to encounter the rarest of magical creatures in the epic new addition to the wizarding world of Harry Potter. Only at Universal Orlando Resort. Florida residents, now for a limited time, get 2 days free with a 2-day park-to-park ticket.
What we achieve for patients is life-changing.
You get your smile back, your confidence back, in just 1 day.
A new smile at a price you can afford.
With the dignity and respect you deserve.
Don't wait another day. Nothing is more life-changing than a healthy, confident smile.
Let Affordable Dentures and Implants create your new smile. Schedule your free consultation. Call 1-800-DENTURE or visit affordabledentures.com.
Enjoying the ultimate summer is easy with Winn-Dixie. We've got the hottest prices for your Labor Day get-together with friends and family. Angus Choice Skirt or T-bone steaks are just $6.99 a pound. And Razzle Red or Dazzle Green Grapes are just $1.79 a pound. Plus, Zephyr Hills 24-packs are BOGO. And now, spend $30 and score a mystery bonus. Get 3 times, 10 times, or even 40 times the points. Find more ways to win by downloading the Winn-Dixie app today.
Dust bunnies aren't as cute as they sound. They contain contaminants, which end up in your ductwork. Sears is one of the leading providers of air duct cleaning services.
We use state-of-the-art vacuum equipment and other specialized tools to thoroughly clean your air duct system.
Remove years of accumulated dirt, dust, dander, and other contaminants.
Nice. Go to SearsClean.com to schedule your $99 TV special air duct cleaning or call 888-395-9394 now.
Get Labor Day savings at AutoNation's 72-hour flash clearance. For a limited time at AutoNation Chevy, drive a brand new 2019 Silverado with $15,000 off MSRP. Or rush in for 0% financing for 72 months.
Hurry! These savings end in a flash.
Ends Labor Day at AutoNation Chevy. Drive safe for less at AutoNation. Buy and install 4 new tires and get a $100 rebate. All the big brands, Goodyear, Continental, and more. Service now at AutoNation.
Tap the app, the Max Tracker app.
And right now, as we continue tracking Hurricane Dorian, a very powerful Category 5 storm. We're taking a look at the cone right now. We have our own Janice Fernandez in Marsh Harbor, and she's been bringing us reports of, her first couple of days being there, what she was experiencing right before, during the eye. Here's another live look at sort of the calm that they're dealing with right now before the back end of the storm picks up in where she's at right now.
Yeah, it's Nassau, Bahamas right there, and welcome to our special coverage here at the top of the hour. Nicole Perez, Calvin Hughes, Brian Norcross, Betty Davis, the Weather Authority team, watching all of this for you. And we have that 2 o'clock advisory, so let's check in very quickly right now with Brian and Betty with more on that. Betty?
Very powerful hurricane with maximum sustained winds of 185 miles per hour as it's moving toward the west at 7 miles per hour. I want to take a moment and talk about some of our local weather and what we're going to be facing as we head over the next 24 to 48 hours, especially around Broward County. Some of you hearing the news of a tropical storm watch, that may be making you feel uneasy. What it should make you do is want to take some precautions and pay attention to how the weather is going to be changing as Hurricane Dorian gets closer to us. We are not in the forecast cone, Broward, Miami-Dade, and the Keys, but we do have that tropical storm watch to talk about for Broward, meaning tropical storm conditions possible within 48 hours. So what that means in terms of how strong the winds could be, 40 miles per hour or more. Remember, the threshold for hurricane force winds, 74 miles per hour or greater. For Broward right now, I'm thinking about 40 to 50. But of
Right
course,
now,
we
Broward
still don't
County
really know
is
just how
lucky.
close the core of Dorian gets to South Florida. But what we do know right now is it has made that landfall right along Marsh Harbor. So we're watching it now as it comes in, and we're Nicole just said, and Calvin, our Janice Fernandez is. Janice is in her safe space now as she gets ready for the other part of the eye wall to move on in. So that's where the center of the storm is. Meantime, away from the center, you can see the outer bands of Dorian lashing other areas of the northwest Bahamas, and then even some downpours sneaking over into our area too. Broward, Miami-Dade, some of you out there dealing with these downpours, a little gusty at times. So the tropical moisture is already arriving, and the downpours definitely get your attention. If you're heading out right now, they're sort of in and out of the area, and I think this is going to be the case as we're moving through the rest of the afternoon as Dorian continues to push westward at 7 miles per hour. So we'll show you how the storms are moving. Notice they're sort of dropping from the north down toward the south. So following the overall broader flow all the way around across from Dorian. Now, as far as what kinds of winds we're going to expect over the next 24 to 48 hours and even beyond, I've got this little breakdown for you here. And what you'll notice today, north winds, occasional breezy downpours. As we get into tomorrow, we'll expect to be more in northwesterly winds, as high as 40 to 50 miles per hour. That's that tropical storm threshold, talking especially for Broward County. And then we could have even some tropical moisture wrapping all the way down toward areas of Dade and also the Keys. And remember, we said it's going to be a slow-moving system. So even on Tuesday, we can have some of those gusts up to 50 miles per hour and more downpours as well. And based on the way things look right now, it looks as though Monday evening, overnight into early Tuesday, that's probably going to be the time frame when the winds are strongest. I want to bring Brian back into this discussion now to talk more about Dorian, the watches, the warning. I know this is warnings. This is kind of confusing for people, Brian.
It is totally confusing for people. They're two very unfortunate words that both begin WA. But a watch means possible. A warning means actually likely. So the idea is that tropical storm warning means Palm Beach County and points north, they should expect winds, as Betty said, over 40 miles an hour. In the 40, 50, 60 mile an hour range, they should expect it. In Broward, the idea is that that's possible if the storm were to come just a little bit closer. This ferocious hurricane is not that far away. A little bit of a jog that is not forecast, but a little bit of a jog makes the winds pick up above the threshold that Betty was talking about. So that's what the difference is. Watch is possible, warning is expected. And then a hurricane watch means for Palm Beach County and north, hurricane conditions above 75 miles an hour are again possible, but the storm would have to make a little jog farther west, which is certainly within the total realm of possibility here. Okay, here is what started all this today and what caused that tropical storm watch to be issued. And this is the European model that came out this morning, and it's a little closer to the coast. It's about 90 miles off of Boca Raton is where it has the storm. Early AM means overnight. So overnight, Monday night and Tuesday morning, that's the time frame when the model has it kind of south of West End in Grand Bahama. that was closer than it had previously had it. So previously it was out here. It's only about 45 miles difference, but because, as we saw with Janice in Marsh Harbor, a little difference makes a huge difference in the weather, that was enough to concern the National Hurricane Center and the emergency managers that it's coming close enough here to Broward, Palm Beach, and especially points north that we better get everybody on alert and not take any chances. So it was that shift in the models today that made that difference. Now, take a look at the cone, and here you see the timing and the thinking about the wind speeds. You see the National Hurricane Center is weakening the storm slowly. It's still an incredibly fierce storm coming through the Bahamas here, but the intensity is expected to go up and down. This has been a really unusual super strong storm. Usually they go through something called an eye wall replacement cycle. If you've been watching hurricanes for a while, you know that the eye walls shrink and then they die out, and another while the bigger one forms, and then it shrinks again, and so forth. So this has not done that since it was a young storm back in the Caribbean. So it's really unusual. Usually we see a weakening of the storm and a growing of the storm. So if it were to get up into here and go through that, and the storm were to grow, where right now the strong winds might be there, it grows and the strong winds are there. So that's where the concern is coming in today, because that normally happens in super strong hurricanes. Then it moves on up to the north. The idea is it weakens. The question is, how close up here does it come to the coast? All the way from central Florida on up the coast, there is concern, because this is going to be a big, very, very strong hurricane, and obviously very vulnerable coastline. Now, here's the National Hurricane Center's forecast of the size of the storm. So here you see the tropical storm force winds. Again, 40 miles per hour or above in the yellow, and then the hurricane force gusts. These are the 75-mile-an-hour gusts, and these are the hurricane force sustained winds, right? Hey, Betty, you want to come on?
Yeah,
in here?
Of course.
Okay.
I had to go make some tea.
Yes,
it's going to be a long day.
Make room for Betty. So I was just talking about the wind, the size of the wind. Now, watch if it stays on its track. You can see, here we go to Monday afternoon, and look at the tropical storm force winds, see, right toward Palm Beach County, and they're kind of off of Broward County.
Right.
This is sustained winds, right? But how much farther would this storm have to track this way to actually get those winds to Broward County, right?
That's why you've got a tropical storm watch, Broward.
Right, tropical storm conditions possible. Also, how much more would this have to grow? You know, we know the storm is going to grow in size. We can't predict exactly. So this is why we have a possible here, and here we have in Palm Beach County, we have an expected, exactly. And so here we go Monday evening. Look, Monday evening, it inches a little closer. Tuesday morning or Monday overnight. So it's still close. So just as you were saying, the timing of having the closest strong winds is in that late Monday into Tuesday time frame, and then it starts to pull away Tuesday. And once it starts to pull away, it's going to go, right? So they still have, look, Tuesday morning, still having tropical storm force winds over all the Bahamas, and obviously there's some play in the exact details.
Exactly, and it really goes back to how a tropical system is not just a single point.
Right.
It's this sprawling mechanism of energy.
Right, and the winds go outside of the cone.
Exactly.
This is if it tracks right down the center of the cone. If it tracks a little to the left of the cone, obviously, then all these conditions are exaggerated here. Here are the models. As the European model you see, and you'll see the spaghetti plots for all the other models. If you've been watching us, you know we don't have a spaghetti plot in the machine of the European because of the contractual way they do it. There's the European once again as the outlier.
Right.
So, you know,
farther south.
Once again. So it's south of West End in the Bahamas here in the evening hours, mid-evening hours on Wednesday. And all the other models are a little to the north. So if the European is right, we're going to feel it more. If the other models are right, we'll feel it less. We're going to feel it, right?
Are we starting to get a new run in on this one? It's
well, we're going to get one
shortly.
We're going to get, yes, we will get one. What time is it anyway?
Exactly.
Yes, well, we should get one here in the next hour or so. And then it goes north. And look, it's still, the European still has it Tuesday afternoon, pounding Grand Bahama. Look at this, where the other models take it north, and then they all go. You see how quickly they go north once they go. But look how close it is to the Florida coast, and this one especially is concerning. That's the American Special Hurricane Model. The other ones are just offshore, but with a big hurricane like this, there's still going to be coastal damage with that kind of track.
So from the Carolina coast, Georgia coast, they're still, even there, watching this very closely.
Yeah, very closely. And they've got days like we have had because of the stalling. So this is a model that looks at waves. So ignore that over there for a second. Just concentrate on this because this is where the high resolution part of this is. But I wanted you to be able to see the hurricane generating waves. So generating these incredible waves offshore. Now, this isn't the kind of waves that crash on the beach. This is sort of energy in the ocean offshore, but it gives you an idea of when this is all going to happen. Now watch it go forward in time. Here it comes. You see, as the hurricane comes closer to us, because of the Bahama Bank, the reason we don't have big waves in Broward County, say it again, Michelle? Okay. The reason we don't have on an average day big waves in Broward and Dade is because of the Bahamas. The energy out in the Atlantic is blocked by what's called the Bahama Bank. And so it also blocks hurricane waves. So you can see the energy coming around Grand Bahama here and pushing down. So here we are Monday morning, and there's a lot of energy in the water, but more in Broward than in Dade. You see the reds are pushing up against Broward. So it's going to be fierce, and it's going to be current swells from the north. Right. So beach erosion is going to be significant there. And that energy is pushing in toward Palm Beach County, so that's why the direction of the swell is different up there. And then it comes down. So this is about the peak on Monday afternoon. Oh no, overnight, just like you said. This is when the most energy is in the water, just offshore of the Dade County beaches and well against the Broward County beaches, early Tuesday morning or overnight. That's when the most energy is in there.
And even yesterday, I talked about how boaters, you need to be aware of that.
There's not going to be any boating.
There's not the time.
No boating is allowed in this kind of situation. So this is what you were showing, Betty, but I just want to add one other thought to it, and that's just about the direction of the wind, because we had a lot of questions about storm surge, right? Everybody's worried about the king tide.
King tide, right,
and all that. In Dade and Broward, the flow is going to be offshore. That's pushing against the tide. That means we have no storm surge for the east coast of Miami-Dade and Broward County. Now, once you get to Palm Beach County, that's a different story. And when you get right on the edge there, we'll be careful up around Deerfield. But right now, it looks like Palm Beach County and north is where we have a storm surge threat, and none in almost all of Broward and Miami-Dade County with the wind blowing offshore. Now, in the Keys, there's a little different situation because here comes the wind here pushing water into Florida Bay, and this part of Florida Bay up here is vulnerable to storm surge. So what happens is the water gets pushed in, tide goes up. Now the tide can't go out because the wind is pushing in like that. So in that far eastern part of Florida Bay, there is some concern. And so we'll say Florida Bay flooding is possible and dangerous seas offshore because you have two things happening. That wind from Dorian is going to hold back the Gulf Stream. It actually keeps the Gulf Stream from flowing. So the Gulf Stream starts to kind of back up. And so out in here, all of this area along the Atlantic side of the Keys is going to be very turbulent with the energy of the Gulf Stream fighting against the hurricane up here, trying to stop it. So they call that confused seas. So, where the waves are coming from every which direction. So anyway, that's the threat down in the Keys, but we don't think there's any threat on land except at the end of Florida Bay.
All right, Brian and Betty, we're going to check back in with you very shortly here. We're going to get some updates on some things that have been happening. First of all, the governor has suspended All tolls on the highways, Florida's Turnpike, Alligator Alley, Sawgrass Expressway, Beachline Expressway, East and West Beltway. That's the 417 and 429. Once again, all tolls suspended.
And as far as schools go, Broward County schools closed on Tuesday. Some Miami-Dade County schools are closed. They're waiting to make the final decision on whether all Miami-Dade County schools will be closed. We also know the EOC is open 24 hours, and we also know special needs shelters are open in Broward County.
Okay, let's take you back, though, to Miami-Dade County, where Carlos Jimenez gave a comment just shortly, just a moments ago, but we're going to give you just an idea of what he talked about here. He basically said, keep all of your shutters up. The Tri-Rail is going to be shutting down on Monday, so if you need the Tri-Rail, he says, make other plans to do that. MIA is going to still be operating, he says, so don't worry about that. You can still fly in and out of the airport. Port Miami is going to be closed, and the tunnel is going to be closed as well. Bridges are going to be locked down, so boats cannot pass through. And he says, be very leery and be very aware of king tides is up this weekend here, which could cause local flooding. He says everyone should have completed all of their hurricane plans.
And he also says to leave your shutters up. If you already put them up, to leave them up and to have food and water to last up to 3 days at home. He also mentions, we've mentioned this already before, that you don't have to worry about going out to buy water. The water from the tap is perfectly fine. If you live in an evacuation zone, plan to evacuate with enough time to get to a safe area. He also says that Miami-Dade County is not in the cone, but have not issued any evacuation orders. But again, just making sure everybody is prepared, as we have been telling everyone for the last couple of days.
And once again, he spoke just moments ago. Let's listen into what he had to say.
The strength of this storm cannot be underestimated. We will see tropical force winds within the next 48 hours. The National Hurricane Center reports Dorian could nearly stall over the Bahamas for more than 24 hours starting late tonight. And as many of you who have been following this forecast know, pretty much all computer models and all forecasters anticipate this turning north. We just don't know when exactly it's going to turn north. It could turn north. Obviously, we want to have that turn as quickly as possible to minimize the impacts on Florida. But if you look at the forecast, it absolutely could impact the coast and turn once it hits the coast. And so we've got to prepare for that eventuality. A hurricane watch has been issued for the east coast of Florida from north of Deerfield Beach to the Volusia-Brevard County line. A storm surge watch has also been issued for those same areas. A tropical storm warning is in effect for north of Deerfield to Sebastian Inlet. Bottom line is you're going to see these watches and warnings increase on the east coast of Florida. I think a lot of the counties are executing their evacuation plans. We think that that's prudent, and we support that. Palm Beach has mandatory evacuations today, starting at 1 p.m., zones A and B. Martin, evacuations, 1 o'clock, zones A and B. St. Lucie is going to be starting them at 2 o'clock for everything east of US 1. Brevard has evacuations ongoing right now. Indian River, Volusia, St. John's are all implementing evacuation plans, and we expect Flagler, Duval, Nassau counties will be announcing their plans very shortly. And it's important for people to understand if you're in an evacuation zone and you're given an order to evacuate, please heed that call. This storm at this magnitude could really cause massive destruction, and do not put your life in jeopardy by staying behind when you have a chance to get out. And you still do have time to prepare yourself and to make sure that you and your family are safe. In terms of the evacuation routes, I've directed our Secretary Tebow to suspend tolls on the Florida Turnpike, Alligator Alley, Sawgrass Expressway, and the 528 Beach Line in Central Florida. And then after doing that, I received a request from Orange County Mayor Jerry Demings to suspend tolls for the East-West Beltway.
Governor Ron DeSantis speaking there, giving another update, talking about the evacuation orders if you are in one of those zones, as we talked about in Palm Beach County. Zones A and B, they have been evacuated, basically mobile home areas, substandard housing, and in the Barrier Islands in Palm Beach County.
And right now we're going to go to our Andrew Perez. He is in Jupiter. Andrew, can you walk us through what you've been dealing with right now?
Well, the story today is pretty much as you've been talking about evacuations. Yesterday was more of a ghost town. Everybody's at home. Today, we're talking mandatory evacuations. And that's for us, too, a lot of the news crews. As a matter of fact, here's one hotel that shut down around 1 p.m. They took down the awnings. They put all the patio furniture, the pool furniture, the bar. They moved it all inside. They even had that double red flag out there as well, telling swimmers not to get into the water because it's already really rough out there. They even had to take that down. And they've kicked everybody out. That's it. The hotel is closed. We started calling around to every other hotel because we obviously need to find a safe spot as well before this storm gets really close to Florida. And everybody along the beach says absolutely not. Our employees aren't even staying here. We're completely evacuating. It's under a mandatory evacuation. Here's one of the reasons why, though. The surf is already pretty rough. They've already got a problem with beach erosion, storm surge during your average storm. So you can imagine a storm this size, what it would do. Here's the situation right now, though, as you were mentioning really briefly. Palm Beach County is under a tropical storm warning, which means that tropical storm force winds are expected in about 36 hours. So most of the area is also under a hurricane watch, which means that hurricane force conditions are possible within 48 hours. So as a result of all of that, the mandatory evacuations have been ordered for residential structures in 3 different zones, A, B, and C. That starts at 1 p.m. today. So that includes Zone A, for instance, mobile homes, substandard housing, and low-lying areas that are prone to a whole lot of flooding. Zone B is generally those barrier islands like we're on right now, land areas north and south of the Jupiter Inlet as well. The other thing you've got to keep in mind is that this water is expected to rise. And then those low-lying areas are going to start collecting all the rainwater as well. Those two sides, one of the concerns is that they start to merge and create potentially catastrophic flooding situation here. That's why a lot of the businesses, a lot of the homes in the area say, we're not taking any chances. Evacuations start today. You got to go. And that's what we're about to actually go ahead and do.
And Andrew, you talked about they're expecting the water to rise there. How high are they expecting the storm surge to be in Jupiter?
So initially we were talking about 4 to 6 feet. But again, this storm has been so all over the place almost a little bit. So a lot of people are trying to just wait and see what forecasters are predicting, especially as it starts to move over the Bahamas now.
Andrew, have you spoken to some people in the area? Have you come across anybody out there? What have they been saying? Have they become a little bit more worried? What's the sentiment out there?
I haven't gotten this sense of panic and worry, and for that part, you should not panic and worry. I mean, a lot of people have ridden out storms like this before. Granted, this is a much bigger storm. It's a much more powerful storm than what we are used to, but they've gone through hurricanes. We know the drill. You've got to get the water. You've got to get the plywood. You've got to get to higher ground. So a lot of people have been doing that since about Wednesday, Thursday of earlier this week, and they said that they're pretty much feeling like they are ready. They just want to see what it does. So now a lot of them that decided to stay on the barrier islands and some of those low-lying areas, they're reassessing and trying to figure out, okay, it's time to go to plan B now. We've got to move a little bit further inland to somewhere that's deemed safe. The other issue, which I know I talked about quite a bit, is you see a few beachgoers out here. As a matter of fact, Wade, photojournalist Wade Hughes, he's going to kill me for this, but I need you to turn around all the way down there. You've got a bunch of kite surfers down on the other side as well, so they are kind of enjoying the moment before this storm gets really close out here. But that's the thing, officials have been warning us over and over, heed those double red flag warnings, that it's a serious situation, that even though the storm is still pretty far away, it's churning up the water out there. And if you go out there, you get stranded, you get stuck, somebody else has to go and try to rescue you. You're putting that person in danger as well. So they want people to understand if those double red flags are out, they're out for a reason.
Our Andrew Perez reporting for us in Palm Beach County, and also those officials telling people not to go north as well. Try to go south or somewhere else because the storm is likely heading north as well. Andrew, thanks a lot.
And right now, if we have this video, we do want to go to a woman in Abaco. We do have?
No, we do not have that video right now. We are going to take a very quick break, and we'll be right back in just a moment.
Looking for a rewarding new career but not sure where to start? Miami-Dade Technical Colleges can improve your future and get you on a new career path now. Call 305-558-8000 to get offering the lowest cost professional education in Miami-Dade County. Miami-Dade Technical Colleges have flexible schedules, industry instructors, and job placement assistance. Get a career in a year. Call 305-558-8000 or log on to careerinayear.com.
Shop now and save big at the Labor Day sale at Brands Mart.
Smart USA. Get these true wireless sport earbuds for a low $9.88, or get this unlocked smartphone for only $39.88. Now through Labor Day, only at BrandSmart USA.
It's time for the biggest sale of the year on the Sleep Number 360 Smart Bed. You can adjust your comfort on both sides, your sleep number setting.
Can it help us fall asleep faster?
Yes, by gently warming your feet.
But can it help keep us asleep?
Absolutely. It intelligently senses your movements and automatically adjusts to keep you both effortlessly comfortable.
So you can really promise better sleep.
Not promise, prove. And now all beds are on sale. It's the last chance to save 50% on the Sleep Number 360 limited edition Smart Bed, plus 0% interest for 36 months. Ends Labor Day.
Dust bunnies aren't as cute as they sound. They contain contaminants, which end up in your ductwork. Sears is one of the leading providers of air duct cleaning.
Right now it's 26 in the afternoon on this Sunday, September 1st, 2019.
Go to SearsClean.com to schedule your $99 TV special air duct
We
cleaning.
are maintaining continuing coverage of now powerful Hurricane Dorian that is going to its way to Florida.
Welcome back to a special edition of Local 10 News as we are tracking Hurricane Dorian right now, a Category 5 and extremely...
Right now, the only local source that we have live right now is Local 10, based in the South Florida area. So
Just terrible conditions. She called it astonishing what she has seen, from the flooding to the winds. Winds sustained at 185 miles an hour.
And we've talked about this being a slow-moving storm. Janice is still in the eye, so she has not received the back end of the storm just yet. We did receive a video from a woman in Abaco who is surrounded by flooding, and she describes what she's been experiencing in the storm so far. Let's take a listen.
Please pray for us. Please pray for us, everyone. Please pray for us. Me and my baby, everyone that stay in the apartment building, we stuck right here. Please pray for us. I'm asking y'all, please. Pray for us. Pray for Abaco, please. I'm begging y'all. My baby's only 4 months old. Please pray for us. I'm begging y'all. Pray for us. The apartment building as we stay in, the whole roof came off. We standing right here. People trying to make it to the other side where this white house is, but some people, the water just took them, and those are the only people that got to make it over there. Some people didn't get to make it. Everyone, I'm asking y'all, please. My baby's only 4 months old. He doesn't know nothing. Please just pray for us. I'm asking y'all. Please pray for us. Please pray for us, everyone. Please pray for us. Me and my baby, everyone that stay in the apartment building, we stuck right here. Please pray for us. I'm asking y'all, please. Pray for us. Pray for Abaco, please. I'm begging y'all. My baby's only 4 months old. Please pray for us.
Wow, that is...
The apartment building, as we stay in, the whole roof came off. We standing right here. People trying to make it to the other side where this white house is, but some people, the water just took them, and those are the only people that got to make it over there. Some people didn't get to make it. Everyone, I'm asking y'all, please. My baby's only 4 months old. He doesn't know nothing. Please just pray for us. I'm asking y'all. She say the baby. Go under. Yeah. What baby? So when you went there, you couldn't move the baby. That ain't a huh? Get down there like that? Get down. Current pulling is strong. She mean your baby. Everyone, please pray for us, please. Please, my baby's only 4 months old. Please pray for us. Another thing, but you don't even see no rescue, nobody. Only the roof left. Please, the apartment building at Home Fabric, the whole roof came off. We just standing right here. Where's the I can't. I don't feel like I'm losing my breath. Please, everyone, pray for us. The whole roof came off on Home Fabric apartment building. We gotta Very voice in there, please. Everyone pray for us, please. Please pray for us.
Wow. Like you, we are seeing that video for the very first time, where it's happening in real time for us. We don't have a lot of questions answered as to when that video was taken, who the person is, but you saw that that the woman was holding a 4-month-old, that the roof came off, and she was at an apartment building, and it looked like the rooftop had come off of that. So it just gives you some
Wow,
idea of
that video was shocking. In the meantime, let's check on Twitter World. See what else we have on Twitter World. We have Biff Jenkins from Fox News here saying Delray Mayor Shirley Petriola is urging residents to stay vigilant ahead of Hurricane Dorian. Okay, let's see what else we have here. We are trying to see if we have our Central Florida resource that is live, but we don't have none.
Palm Beach Gardens High School. This is one of 7 shelters open in Palm Beach County right now. There's one for special needs people, people with disabilities, one for pets, and they are starting to stream in. Also, we know that the Emergency Operations Center...
Let's try to get some information from our Facebook feed.
Running for a few days now. Last night, as we were reporting, 3,000 calls already. If you need more information, you can always call them or go to our website, local10.com. We have all the shelters that are currently available. And Calvin and Nicole, we have 15 shelters in this area. So about half of them open now, but stand by and we'll keep you updated when more begin opening.
And remember, since that we have 3
Let's check it out with our Brian.
I personally I have three friends in Florida, one in the north, one in central Florida, and one in South Florida. So this weekend is going to be okay for those Spanish speakers. Acción 97.9. Esta es una estación de radio en Orlando. Y el gobernador Ron DeSantis anuncia la suspensión de los peajes. The New York Post posted 33 minutes ago, only 4 storms in the Atlantic have ever had higher wind speeds.
The other part is getting close. Yeah, very close. Yeah, it really is heartbreaking just hearing the video and then you look at the actual imagery.
But again,
of Dorian and that eye wall, and we've been seeing
we are in the peak of the hurricane season. We need to get prepared. Although that New York,
here's the new European model that just came in. This was the model that caused the frenzy today when it moved over and kind of a little closer to the Florida coast, and it got everybody nervous, bottom line. Also, the intensification of the storm. Obviously, get up to 185 miles an hour in a storm just offshore. That makes you nervous all by itself. Right. Okay, here's the model. It comes, and there's the center of it. This is overnight on, so when we say early a.m., we mean from midnight to 6, right? In that range. So nominally 2 a.m. or so. And then here it comes over Grand Bahama, and then it emerges just north of Grand Bahama. Again, this is now overnight Monday night. Mm-hmm. The difference is it does not come south of Grand Bahama. Now, these differences are almost in the noise in terms of where the models go, but this trend of lifting a little further north makes us feel good for Dade and Broward. But on the other hand, this trend of the storm being bigger, stronger, and potentially bigger kind of negates that some. Right. So I don't think we're in a whole different situation than we were yesterday.
Right.
We're on the fringe of it.
We are.
Right.
And we still have a tropical storm watch for Broward.
Right, just in case those tropical storm force winds happen to get to Broward County. But we are still on the fringe of this. And then look how quickly it begins to pull away on Tuesday. So anyway, there's the new models for now, and we'll do a full wrap-up for you coming up at the top of the hour.
Okay, we will see you then in about 19 minutes. Thank you so much.
And right now we want to go to Roy Ramos at the South Florida Wildlife Center in Fort Lauderdale.
And we have been here throughout the day, and throughout the day we have been watching as they have been evacuating more than 400 animals. I want to go and show you what they've done to the front of the building right here. They put their storm shutters up, but now the focus is on all of these animals. Walk with me this way. I want to show you what their main concern is. While Dorian is expected to head up north of South Florida, they are still expecting winds and rain, and that is a concern for the animals that would be normally housed in enclosures like the one you're looking at right here. This is a pelican enclosure, and you can see that there are no pelicans in there. That is because they've already been removed. Let's go ahead and take you to video of what we have been seeing throughout the day. Employees and volunteers have been picking up these animals, and these aren't just normal animals. This is a rehabilitation center, and each of these animals is either sick, injured, or orphaned. For that reason, they need special care, they need special medication, they need special food, and some of them even have injuries that need to be cared for. We did get a chance to speak to the head veterinarian here a short time ago about what her major concern was with all the weather that we are expecting. Take a listen.
Always worry about flooding, so we want to make sure that animals can get up off the ground, and then strong winds just, knocking them around and just being difficult for them to manage inside of cages. It's not like where you're in the wild and you can go seek shelter or deal with the winds when you're in the air. These animals are all caged, so nothing will be left outside on property today.
And as we come back out live to these squirrel enclosures, you can see that they are already in cages. That is because they will be picked up over the next few minutes. Right now, we know that there are at least 100 animals still here at the South Florida Wildlife Center that will be picked up by volunteers or taken home by employees. They need to be cared for. They cannot be out in the elements, and we're going to be here until each and every one of them is cared for properly. Here in Fort Lauderdale, Roy Ramos, Local 10 News.
And Roy, we can only assume that they did the same routine, obviously, for Hurricane Irma just a couple of years ago. So this is sort of a, not their first rodeo, huh?
No. As you mentioned, they have done this before for Hurricane Irma. They removed all the animals here. As we mentioned, we do not want to see them out there in the elements, in those enclosures. They will be exposed to wind and rain at the very least as Hurricane Dorian comes closer and closer to the Sunshine State.
And it's important to have a safe place for our animals as well as everyone else who needs one. Thank you, Roy.
Well, Local 10 News reporter Hansel Vella joining us live now from a construction site in Pembroke Pines where residents there are concerned about flying debris at this hour. Hansel?
Oh, yeah,
okay,
cool.
Okay.
Kevin, listen, anytime we have any tropical disturbance, there's always going to be high winds, and that's the concern here in Pembroke Pines. Let me show you the construction site that we're talking about here on Pines Boulevard and Dykes Road. This is a site that's about supposedly 135,000 square feet of mixed use. It's going to be called Pines Market, or that is the name that's been given to it. Of course, the concern you can see is all of the debris that's right now currently at the site. There's a lot of construction because the old post office, if you remember, and you lived in this neighborhood, the old post office was torn down, so you can see some of what's left of the building is sort of half torn down. Half of the building still remains. And so there's a lot of folks who live nearby that are concerned that when the winds start picking up, that some of this debris may become dangerous projectile. We talked to some of the folks across the way who were at a restaurant and saw the site and live nearby and talked to us about some of the concerns they have.
Definitely, those things may be flying around. So they should right now, they should be protecting them and lifting them and covering them and protecting the neighborhood.
45-mile, 50-mile wind is, 100 miles, that area there, now that you mention it, yeah, it could be a problem.
Now, that last gentleman you heard from is an electrical engineer, not a structural engineer, but he doesn't think it's a huge problem. But of course, if you're an average person and you walk or drive by this site, you might think it's going to be a problem if the winds pick up. We did get in touch with the city of Pembroke Pines. We have been in touch with the mayor to try to figure out what's going on. He says he's going to get back to us. And of course, as soon as we get an answer from him or the developer that's currently in charge of this construction site, we'll bring you the latest information. For now, reporting live in Pembroke Pines, I'm Hatsavella, Local 10 News.
Okay, Hatzel, and we do want to be very clear about this, that Broward County, Miami-Dade County, both out of the cone of concern. So, you know, clearly this is just a precaution. As soon as we get more information from Hatzel on that construction site, of course, we'll bring it to you.
Correct. And President Trump also received an update on Hurricane Dorian from FEMA in Washington, D.C. a short time ago. Let's take a listen.
Could I just ask you, 2 days ago, we were given a really comprehensive briefing, and they seemed to think almost every prediction was that it was going to go right through Florida and into the Gulf, actually right across Florida. Does that not have a chance of happening now, or what do you think? I mean, everything seems now it goes up north. What do you think the chances that it goes directly straight as the original predictions were?
Yeah, this well inside this cone. It just kind of gets the variability in that forecast track. And what's happened with time, once it slowed down, the forecast had to nudge to the north because now it has that influence with that trough. Teeny changes can make a big difference in the eventual movement of these storms. Literally thousands of parameters that we're trying to measure and put into the computer models to be able to get these tracks. So a small wobble, a small change can cause that forecast track to nudge a little bit. That's why there's so much uncertainty. And we spend a lot of time talking about the actual cone because, you know, you look at the last 5 years and that's the forecast error possible with that track. So we try to communicate these uncertainties and it does happen, especially when you're measuring thousands of parameters, trying to get that into the models, you can have these small changes.
How certain are you that it'll go north?
Every single computer model that we have is pulling this to the north, but the big question we have is about where that center is going to go, and that's why we're really trying to communicate the edge of that cone. That landfall literally could be right on the coast, anywhere in Florida, and even up the Carolinas. We could see a landfall too soon where you can have some damage right along the coast, but we're trying to communicate, even if it's offshore, look at the size. I mean, remember the NOAA satellite, how big the storm is? Even if it's offshore, that could bring some devastating impacts even on the coast. We're trying to communicate that size and really try to focus people on this large system and not just the center.
Great job. Thank you very much.
And that was President Trump getting briefed there from FEMA as he is staying on top of what's happening here for the state of Florida as well. But also we have to be very concerned about our friends in the Bahamas right now, the Abacos, that we can show you some of the video that they have been seeing, some of the astonishing video as Janice talked about there. This is what they saw when the eye of the storm came through just overnight, last night and into this morning. Just some of the water there just lashing up on shore there and knocking down some of the homes and even shearing away some of the rooftops of at least of an apartment building. We heard from one young lady who was holding a 4-month-old baby. That was some really tough video to look at there. But look at the damage that's being left behind from those winds, gusting over 200 miles an hour, but sustained at 185 miles an hour. Nicole, a Category 5 storm, extremely dangerous.
Just watching all of the debris and the destruction that has been caused already. So if you are just joining us, our Janice Fernandez is in Marsh Harbor, Bahamas. There, the video that you're taking a look at now. She's not with us right now because she's in her safe zone. She's in her bunker. She has been talking to us about what she was dealing with before the eye passed over, before the conditions that she's dealing with now. And, you know, we had her over the phone and she was talking about the winds and how the roof came off and how the awnings, they came down right after one of her live shots. And she was just explaining everything that she had been dealing with, you know, the calm before the storm, because she's been there, Calvin, for a couple of days already. And as soon as the eye passed over her, she was actually, her and her photographer, Brian, were kind of walking along the resort and ran into somebody who needed help. So they were able to kind of make their way around, but then we had to quickly bring her back and into her safe zone because the back end of the storm was approaching.
And even more importantly here, too, we want to make sure that the viewers at home know that our Janice Fernandez is in a safe area right now, and just as soon as we can talk with her once again and the backside of that eye passes over the Bahamas, where she is exactly, Marsh Harbor, we will talk with her. As we understand, the backside of that storm is sort of a 1-2 punch and can be very devastating, equally as devastating, especially when the first part of the eye weakened many areas that thought that maybe perhaps they could be sustained from all of those heavy winds. But the second half of the storm is when Brian talked about a lot of people tend to go out thinking that everything is safe. But clearly that is not the case. But our Janice Fernandez, we know she has a lot of family relatives here in South Florida. She is in a safe area, and just as soon as we can talk with her, we will do that.
Yeah, we've also heard from emergency officials over there in the Bahamas. We heard from the Prime Minister. And, you know, Brian mentioned, Calvin, that the winds are going to start to come from the opposite direction.
Yes.
So they were updating
Southern
everyone
winds,
there,
yeah.
right,
Mhm.
and telling everybody, you know, to pray for the island. And, I mean, we're just looking at this video, and it's just awful what they're dealing with and what they will continue to deal with for the next couple of days.
And that was an apartment building for the young lady who we saw was holding the 4-month-old, and she kept saying, pray for Abaco, pray for our people here in the Bahamas. But that video really, really tough to watch. But again, the second part of that storm, the second half of that eye, the backside of that eye, is indeed going over the Bahamas. It is a slow-moving storm, but if we can, we just want to give you one more look at that video that we're talking about of the woman who talked about the apartment building getting damaged, heavily flooded, and she describes her experience holding that 4-month-old. Let's take a listen.
It's right now 2:52 in the afternoon.
Okay, we're still working to get that video. You can see there the latest models right now. The European model of that Category 5
Right,
storm.
it is
Hurricane Dorian. Let's take a listen to
2:52
that
right
video in
now.
the Abacos.
The next update will be at 5 o'clock.
Please pray for us. Please pray for us, everyone. Please pray for us. Me and my baby. Everyone that stay in the apartment building, we stuck right here.
And
Please
of course,
pray
we
for us.
will be having the 5 o'clock update for you guys. So that's all for now, people. We will be back in around 4:45 with the latest update regarding Hurricane Dorian and with the 5 o'clock update for the National Hurricane Center. So we'll see you then.